this whole point about competency as well. Probably a fundamental change there. So we can move on to competency. Obviously, there are a few different ways of discussing competency, but how do we measure it? What do we mean by competency?
Well, as principal designer, we have quite a lot to say about competence. It's one of the main challenges that we've found. So competence, so the duty for competence is enshrined in the building regs, and applies to, it's universal. So it applies to, from your small scale residential scheme right through to your huge HRBs, high rise offices, whatever it is. If the building regs apply, you have a duty to be competent and to demonstrate your competence. And that's been one of the biggest challenges that we found as the principal designer, is that it in the main falls to us to run through those competence assessments, and there can be some pushback sometimes. I think it's fair to say. I think sometimes there's a lack of understanding, and it's sometimes some frustration, I think, from design teams, which I do understand. But I think it's part of the benefit of it is, again, it's about de-risking your business. So it allows a lot of design practices to actually look inwardly at themselves and sort of interrogate a lot of your internal processes and your procedures and how you set plans for achieving compliance in your designs, and also for your CPD schemes as well. It allows you to really interrogate how you work as a business, and to de-risk it and to make sure that you're actually hitting the target for compliance before you even think about speaking to building control.
That's good. And I guess one of the models we use is the SCEB model, isn't it? The skills, knowledge, experience, and behaviours. Anyone want to give our audience a couple of minutes on that?
Yeah, I think, you alluded to it. I think it's quite natural you're being asked to demonstrate things that often you do and are embedded perhaps in the way in which you work and practice. And so there is an initial emotional reaction sometimes to sort of say, why do I have to demonstrate that? But I think once you can get past that, you realise the purpose of it. And I guess if I've got any advice for anybody here, even if you're not working on buildings going through Gateway now, but if you're likely to, I think start looking at this competency point now, because a lot of it is about demonstrating and documenting processes that you might already be doing. But I think also that spotlight being shined on it does sort of highlight areas where perhaps you could strengthen processes or strengthen training. That's certainly what we've found. But I think, get ahead of the curve, because there's a big admin burden that comes with the application generally. So I think if you can have that piece kind of there ready in advance, then that will help you massively.
That's good. And the behaviours aspect of it is often a challenging thing to measure, but for me, I think it's probably one of the most important things. You can have all the skills and knowledge and experience in the world, but if you don't want to do the right thing, it all falls flat. And not to make anything of Graeme and Willmott Dixon, but I think you see that throughout the organisation, that there's a culture of wanting to do things right and wanting to follow a process, and it works really well. But I think anybody that's tried to change their culture in an organisation will know that it takes time. So there's no better time to start than now in terms of trying to, as you say, prove what you're doing, start documenting it.